welcome to my channel, Plant-Based Storm. I'm Stormy, and I wanted to come on here today and talk about how I've lost 70 pounds, and I'm going to have 3 tips for success that go along with that. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So probably just like many people watching this video, if you've come across this video, you may be looking for some way to lose weight or to lead a healthier lifestyle. I chose to do the starch solution, and I had tried to do like so many different things before, and they all work temporarily. It's not necessarily a lifestyle change, and whenever you go back to eating the standard diet, most of the time weight comes back on. You usually get like all excited and get all of your stuff together for whatever diet it is you're doing, and you're relying on your willpower. Well, eventually willpower fades, and it's unsustainable, and you just go back to your old ways. Society is not set up in order for us to be successful, and typically on leading a healthy lifestyle. Convenience foods at grocery stores and all of the different processed foods, all of the different restaurants to go out to eat, all of the fast food, which obviously leads to an unhealthy lifestyle. And then you also have like other people that influence you, like your family members and your friends, and a lot of times they have been raised the same way, eating like your standard westernized diet, and health is not typically the goal. It's usually convenience and getting things done. So a lot of times that just falls to the wayside, to the back burner, so to speak. And so society is just not set up for us to live a healthy lifestyle without intention. The reason why the starch solution for me also was so appealing is because the meals were attainable, it was simple, and I knew I could have carbs. So that was something really appealing. Even though I was a little bit nervous at first about having carbs, I quickly lost that fear whenever I started to see results. The starch solution was different because it was sustainable. I know that whenever I had tried all of those other diets before, I missed my carbs. You know, carbs have been totally demonized, by some certain diets out there. And I have to agree that some carbs are not the right type of carbs for our bodies. Obviously, there's a huge difference in a whole food carb versus like an ultra processed carb. It's not an apples to apples comparison. You can't say that a whole food like a potato is equivalent to a Pop-Tart, or a whole food like brown rice is not equivalent to a donut. It's just not the same. And the one on this side, the donut and the Pop-Tart, are the ultra processed, and the whole food is obviously just whole food. And the difference is the ultra processed foods have been stripped of all of their nutrients and all of their fiber, and they are loaded with fat, salt, and sugar. And that is something that your body tends to crave. And whenever you add all 3 of them in the same combination, it makes it where your body seeks that out, and it sends like pleasure signals to your brain. Whereas whenever you eat just the whole food, you don't get all 3 of those: sugar, fat, and salt in one food. So, I mean, of course, like your Pop-Tarts and your pastries and the, donuts and the chips and all of the ultra highly processed foods are going to taste so good. They are designed to hijack your sense of taste and make you want and crave more of those foods. Whereas the whole food has all of the fiber, all of the nutrients, all of the water still intact, and it doesn't like light up your brain in the same way. So Forks Over Knives has a really good explanation on their website, and it is called How Carbs Became the Supervillain. It is a article that they have up there, and I will link that in the description box so that you can read it for yourself. It's a really good article that pretty much goes over why a whole food and an ultra processed food are like completely different, and how much better this one is for you, and why we crave these ultra processed foods. My 3 tips for success on a whole food plant-based diet, specifically the starch solution is what I have been following, is number 1, have a good mindset. And within that topic, I want to talk about a few different things. So whenever you set out to start a lifestyle change, because the starch solution to me is more than just a diet, it is a lifestyle, and you want to have the right mindset going into it. So whenever I started the starch solution, I defined my why. So we had a bunch of different reasons as to why we were going to do a whole food plant-based diet. And one of my whys was specifically for weight loss and health. Everybody has a different why. I mean, maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to feel good in the clothes that you're wearing. Maybe you can visualize yourself playing with your kids. Maybe that's not something that you can easily do. I mean, there's so many different reasons why, but as long as you define your why, then it gives you some motivation and momentum to move forward, and it sets you up and puts you in the right frame of mind whenever you start this lifestyle change. And then every time that you feel like, you know, it's so hard, it's a big change coming from like maybe the standard American diet to a whole food plant-based diet, then you can always look back to your why, especially like if you like write it down in a book or on a, you know, sticky note and put it in your mirror, and you have a hard day and you really want to continue on your way, but you just don't know how you're going to do it. If you always stop and think about why you started to begin with, then a lot of times it's enough to give you the motivation to keep pressing forward. Another thing about it being like a mindset thing is that I like to think about whenever I'm pursuing this lifestyle that it is self-care, because I'm taking care of myself and showing my body love and gratitude by feeding it the foods that it needs and wants in order to do all the processes that it needs to do to get me through daily life. And in the end, I end up reaping the rewards because I have energy that is through the roof. I'm losing weight. I feel great. I'm not weighed down by my food choices, literally. You know, I get that full feeling from eating a whole food plant-based diet, but I'm never overstuffed, and I feel like, you know, it just gives me a lot to look forward to, and I know that I am treating my body the way that it deserves to be treated. Everyone has their own story as to why they're doing this, and for me personally, I used to say really mean things to myself, and it was sort of just something that was going on in my mind, and I didn't even realize it until I started kind of thinking about all of these things. Whenever I was following the starch solution, I would, you know, say just such ugly things to myself, and then I started replacing those thoughts and started telling myself the opposite of what I was saying. So I mean, you could say, I'm so horrible, I, you know, don't deserve X, Y, and Z, and then as soon as you recognize that, you tell yourself, you know, that you're working on making yourself better, you're trying to make yourself healthier, and you are worth all of this effort, and you deserve to treat yourself right. And I know it seems like a really weird thing to do, but as soon as you start thinking something negative, you might even say out loud, stop, and then say the opposite to yourself, and do it as many times as it takes. And you actually might be surprised, because I know I was, at how many times you have thoughts like that throughout the day. It doesn't matter what the thought is. It may not have anything to do with your weight. It may have something to do with if you think that you aren't smart enough, you're not good enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not whatever. Stop that thought. Literally say stop and replace it with something positive and the exact opposite, and before you know it, you're going to be treating yourself a whole lot better. I would never tell someone some of the things that I said to myself. And if I would not tell somebody those things that I was saying to myself, I surely don't deserve to be telling myself those things either. So that is what I like to call reframing your mindset. So to kind of recap all of that again, know your why. Know that it is self-care whenever you are treating yourself right, and replace negative thoughts and reframe what you're saying with positive thoughts. And that will go a long way to help motivate you to continue your healthy lifestyle. Okay, tip number 2, and this is a really big tip. Whenever you go into your lifestyle, you need to have things that are available at your fingertips that are going to support what you're doing. So I like to say that you need to master your environment. So you need to make sure that you have, things that are ready to go, like your rice and your potatoes and all of that kind of stuff. And I know that I've talked about my Prep Starches With Me video, but again, it is something that I do that helps me stay on track. I make sure that I have, canned beans, and I have frozen potatoes, and I have regular potatoes, and I have all the different foods, the whole grain rice, all that kind of stuff just ready to go on hand. I have snacks on hand, I keep fruit, and I plan ahead. So mastering your environment is a huge deal. For me, that looked like getting rid of all of the things that did not support a lifestyle for the starch solution, and replacing it all with starch solution approved foods and things that I knew that I was going to be eating on this lifestyle. You have someone else that lives in your house with you that doesn't eat the starch solution, then you should definitely carve out your own section in your refrigerator and your pantry, and make sure that if you have some kind of food that they enjoy, that is something that you really love, that they hide that or put that in some way, put that up somewhere where you don't have to look at it every time that you go and get some food out of the refrigerator or the pantry. So I would do everything that I could to prepare my environment to make sure that it set me up for success. Okay, and the last tip that I have is preparation, and if you are hungry, eat. So like I said, preparation kind of like is a bridge between mastering your environment and making sure that you eat whenever you're hungry. If you don't have things prepped and ready to go, it makes it so much harder. You want to make it as convenient on yourself as possible. We already talked about how society is not set up for us to live a sustainably healthy lifestyle. So you want to gift yourself that by making sure that you prep what you need ahead of time. If that means steaming some potatoes so that you can grab one out of the refrigerator and have that as a snack, or having fruit on hand, then please do that. Knowing what to eat on the starch solution, this book right here is really, really helpful. I highly recommend getting this book and reading it from front to back, and it tells you everything that you need to know in order to begin a starch-based diet. But you want to eat basically like 70% starches, 20% vegetables, and 10% fruit. And there's going to be a little bit of nuts, seeds, and avocados, but just in small amounts while you're trying to lose weight. And you want to eat things like white potatoes and sweet potatoes, brown rice, whole wheat pasta, oatmeal, barley, legumes, beans, and corn, and you want to eat them in the way that nature packaged them. So in other words, you want to eat them as whole as possible. So you want to, just cook them. You just want to get like dried beans and cook them, or potatoes and cook them. So whenever you eat a potato versus a potato chip, that is highly processed, and potato is the way that nature packaged it. You're going to eat some non-starchy vegetables as well. It's going to be a 50-50 plate typically. And so you're going to have like your mushrooms, your green beans, your spinach, your salad greens, your cooked greens, broccoli, all of those kinds of things. So these are basically the things that I did to help me lose 70 pounds. And I wanted to share that with all of you because I still get a lot of questions about you know, what I did, what I eat. And I really think that all of those three things are super important: your mindset, your environment, and making sure to be prepared and eat when you're hungry. So I hope this was helpful in some way. And as always, please like, share, and subscribe if you're enjoying this content. And please leave me some comments below and let me know what you think about this video, what you would like to see coming up. And as always, thank you so much for watching.